When a small debt first appears, it rarely feels dangerous. It might begin with something ordinary, like a modest credit card balance used to cover an unexpected expense or a short-term convenience purchase. The number looks manageable, the minimum payment appears small, and the entire situation feels temporary. What often goes unnoticed in that moment is that debt does not behave like a simple number, it behaves like a system. The moment interest is introduced, the structure of the situation changes. A balance that seems stable on the surface begins quietly interacting with time, and time is one of the most powerful forces in finance. Each month, interest is applied to the remaining balance, which means the amount owed slowly grows unless payments consistently exceed the cost of borrowing. When someone pays only the minimum, most of that payment often goes toward interest rather than reducing the principal. This creates a subtle illusion of progress while the underlying balance changes very slowly. This is where financial psychology enters the picture. Human decision-making tends to focus on immediate pressure rather than long-term structure. A manageable monthly payment can feel like control, even if the total timeline for repayment stretches far into the future. Because the numbers change gradually, the growth of the debt rarely feels urgent. Unlike sudden expenses, compounding costs move slowly and quietly, making them easy to underestimate. To understand the mechanics, imagine a balance of $2,000 with an interest rate near 20%. If only minimum payments are made, the repayment timeline can stretch for many years, and the total amount paid may end up far exceeding the original balance. The borrower is not simply repaying what was spent, they are paying for the time the balance existed within the system. In this sense, debt transforms from a short-term tool into a long-term financial structure. Historically, this pattern has repeated across entire economies. During periods of easy credit expansion, individuals and institutions alike become comfortable with borrowing because the early stages feel manageable. Yet when interest rates rise or income becomes uncertain, the accumulated structure of debt becomes far more visible. The financial crises of the past often revealed the same pattern on a much larger scale. Small obligations layered over time eventually create fragile systems. At the personal level, the lesson is not that debt is inherently destructive, but that its behavior is frequently misunderstood. Debt follows mathematical rules that operate independently of emotions or intentions. Understanding these rules changes how people approach borrowing decisions. Instead of viewing debt only through the size of the monthly payment, it becomes possible to evaluate the full timeline of cost, the influence of compounding interest, and the way time interacts with outstanding balances. When someone begins to see debt through this structural lens, their financial identity often shifts. Borrowing stops looking like a simple transaction and starts looking like an agreement with time itself. Each decision carries a long shadow that extends far beyond the moment the purchase was made. In the end, the quiet growth of small debts is not driven by dramatic events, but by the steady mathematics of compounding. What appears small today can gradually reshape financial stability over many years, which is why understanding the system behind debt may be one of the most important foundations of long-term financial awareness.